A man on the plane just wanted a sip of water when he suddenly noticed his fingernails rapidly turning black. As a doctor, he immediately understood this was a sign of severe cardiopulmonary oxygen deprivation. But before he could think of a solution, the water bottle in his hand began to warp and distort, while the cup on the table started vibrating violently. At that moment, the flight attendant also noticed something wrong. She quickly returned to her seat and fastened her seatbelt, while urging all passengers to secure their seatbelts immediately. Unfortunately, it was already too late. The next second, the plane entered a zone of severe turbulence. Instantly, water from the cup began floating in midair, and passengers who hadn't fastened their seatbelts were thrust into the air as cabin pressure suddenly dropped. In a flash, the entire cabin shook violently. Passengers watching this scene were stunned. They could only grip the armrest tightly to save themselves, silently praying they would make it through safely. At this point, the captain also realized the crisis and hurriedly put on his oxygen mask. Due to cabin decompression, oxygen masks automatically deployed from overhead compartments. Seeing this, passengers quickly put the masks over their faces to breathe oxygen, but Jack's wife hadn't had time to use the oxygen and lost consciousness due to breathing difficulties. What nobody knew was that a girl was in the bathroom at that moment. The violent turbulence prevented her from opening the door, and she ultimately collapsed on the floor from oxygen deprivation. To save his wife, Jack struggled to reach the flight attendant's work area, found a spare oxygen bottle in the emergency kit, quickly put it on his wife, which finally saved her from life-threatening danger. Surprisingly, after a period of violent turbulence, the cabin pressure miraculously returned to normal. Flight 7500 finally survived this emergency. To calm the passengers, the captain immediately made an announcement to the cabin. It turned out that when the plane was passing through air currents, they encountered a storm, causing damage to one of the plane's seals, which led to the cabin pressure problem. However, they had completed emergency repairs and would now decrease altitude to stabilize pressure, asking passengers not to worry excessively. Only then did the passengers finally breathe a sigh of relief. Shortly after, a flight attendant discovered the girl who had fainted in the bathroom. She was frightened and immediately brought emergency oxygen for the girl to use. Unexpectedly, the girl miraculously regained consciousness. Just when everyone thought the disaster was over, at that very moment, terrifying events began to unfold one after another.